In today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 things women over 50 can do to reduce the visible signs of aging. Hey everyone, this is Lisa. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Lisa Monique, where we cover all things lifestyle and beauty for the over 50 woman. So this video is geared towards those new with their anti-aging journey. It is a compilation of things that I've talked about over the last 3 or 4 years since I've had my YouTube channel. If you're a longtime viewer, thank you for being here. This is not going to be anything new for you. I'm going to talk about products I've talked about in other videos and techniques I've talked about in other videos, but I just thought I would do a new summary video on these 5 things. So the first thing that you can do to visibly reduce the sign of aging is the most important, and that is update your skincare. So as we get older, our skin cells stop turning over. Our body stops producing the collagen and elastin that, kind of holds up our skin. And as our skin starts to fall, it stretches our pores. They look larger because our skin cells aren't turning over. Our skin looks duller and can feel a little more leathery. And there are a couple things that you can do, a couple products that you can use to reverse that or lessen the effects. The first product is the granddaddy of them all, and that is get a prescription or order and from a site that I'll tell you about in a minute, some tretinoin, otherwise known as Retin-A. So tretinoin or Retin-A is the only thing that's medically proven to reduce the signs of aging, increase your cellular turnover, and increase your collagen and elastin production. But while it is doing that, it is also making your skin a little bit thinner. So you have to be careful. You can't, you need to make sure you're wearing sunscreen if you're using tretinoin or Retin-A. You can't wax because you can pull that top layer of skin off, so you have to shave or pluck or stop using for at least a week before you go get your skin waxed, which I can never remember to do, so I just stopped waxing. Anyways, tretinoin is the granddaddy for reducing the visible signs of aging. Now, it does take months for you to see the results. Like consistently, you have to consistently use it, and it might be 4 to 6 months before all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, my skin really does look better, or somebody else will make a comment on it. You can't just use it for 2 weeks and then stop using it for 2 weeks and then go back. So you have to really use it consistently. I use a 0.05% tretinoin in this compound prescription. It also has a hydroquinone because I have the dark spots. I have a 6% hydroquinone, and I have kojic acid and hydrocortisone as a anti-inflammatory. Again, I get this from my dermatologist. She calls it into a compound pharmacy, and it's about $45 to get it filled. But in general, the 0.05% is the one that my daughters like to use, and so that's what I give to them also. Why do my daughters need it? My oldest, in her 20s, she had acne scars, and it really did help after a couple of months of consistent use, which, for a 20-something, it's hard to get them to use it consistently, but it really did smooth out her skin tone. So if you know someone with acne scars, you might consider trying it also, noting all my warnings about your skin, but it did work like amazingly on her skin. Okay, if you are not ready to go that route, you don't want to go use a prescription product, or you've tried it before and it irritates your skin too much, there are gentler products over the counter. Now, some of the over-the-counter products, like the vitamin C, L-ascorbic acid, are very irritating on my skin. So I use some gentler chemical exfoliators. And the lactic acid and mandelic acid are 2 of the gentlest. They're larger molecules. They don't penetrate as deep. The Dermatology LA Refining Serum is my lactic acid product of choice. This is the one I use the most, but occasionally I'll reach over and grab my Mandelic acid, Colleen's Rothschild. I love the way this one smells. If you watch my channel, I'm sure you've heard me talk about dermatology. You may have even seen me on some of the commercials, but this is not a sponsored or video at all. I'm just telling you what products that I really do use. Colleen's Rothschild. This is what I used before I discovered YouTube and started trying other products. Again, really love the way it smells. I can use one of those nightly. If I'm using my tretinoin, I will alternate, but they are gentle enough to use daily. Occasionally, like when I went to Europe for a couple of weeks this summer, I forgot to bring any of my exfoliators, and I needed something to kickstart my skin. These chemical exfoliators really will kind of dissolve the dead skin cells and clear out your pores and give you soft, buttery, smooth skin. Again, this can take weeks if you haven't used anything before. So don't expect it to be like an overnight difference, though you might feel your skin softer overnight. But the glycolic acid in this TLC Framboos Glycolic Night Serum, this one is really my Kickstarter. I will use this every 2 or 3 days, every other day, when I really need my skin to be, kicked back into shape. Again, coming back from a few weeks of not having any chemical exfoliation, my skin was feeling very leathery and it just looked dull. And so I use this for about 2 weeks and then continue to maintain using my gentler exfoliators. You can also use a manual exfoliation. Again, I alternate. I don't use all of these things at the same time. This one is a Dermatology Microdermabrasion Scrub. Extremely finely milled. It's not the St. Ives apricot scrub of our youth. Very gentle, but again, you don't want to be rubbing and scrubbing it in too hard. You just want to make sure your face is thoroughly wet. I do it in the shower, and then just nice, gentle circular motion, especially around that nose area, and it will also make your skin feel really good. I also like to use it on my chest area and my neck area. I feel like it smooths those out also. Okay, so that's skincare. Just remember, it can take a couple of weeks, if not months, to see the results. You just have to really be consistent. Next area that I'm going to talk about that women might start noticing changes in their skin, and that is the area around the nose, the dark circles under the eyes, redness around the nose, the capillaries, or in my case, the melasma. I have the melasma around the nose, the melasma mustache. I have 2 dark spots right here where underneath my sunglasses where the sun used to hit. And you also might have just individual age spots. So if you don't want to put a whole face of foundation, and I have a ton of foundation videos, light, medium, heavy coverage, how to get it to last all day, etc. You can just do what I do on a daily basis, which is just use a little bit of concealer to cover those areas. Now, the Dior Forever Skin Correct is one of my favorite because I don't need to set it and it doesn't look really dry. e.l.f., their camo concealers, they have the Hydra concealer and then the regular camo concealer for more oily skin. They also work really well, highly pigmented concealers. And then I also lately have been using the Natasha Denona Hy-Glam concealer. So the key is that they're high pigment concealers. L'Oreal Infallible is also another high pigment concealer. And so what you want to use the high pigment concealers if you have spots that you're trying to cover. And you just want to put the smallest amount over them. You might let it set for 15, 20 seconds or 30 seconds to kind of thicken up a little bit. And then you want to blend it in either with a brush or your finger over that area. I do more tapping on my face because I want more coverage there. And I do blend a little bit more, usually with my fingers around my eyes because I don't have the dark circles or I don't have deep dark circles. So I'm just trying to get everything to blend together. Definitely put it over my nose. That is one of my areas that's most noticeable for me with the melasma and the darkening of the nose. So when I brighten this part of my face, the mask of my face, I feel like I can ignore some of the areas of melasma and things like that on the side of my face and still feel put together and feel a little bit more youthful. So just doing the concealer real light, tapping it in. If you need to set it, if you're finding that your concealer is moving a lot into your fine lines and wrinkles and you're barely using any, because my first suggestion would be to use less, then you might need to set it. Just use the littlest amount of setting powder. This is the Jones Road. Just tap a little bit on your brush and tap over your eyes. Sometimes when I set my eyes, then it looks too dry, so then I will press it in with my fingers. The heat of the fingers, the warmth of the fingers kind of gets rid of that powdery look, so that you might try and do that. If you're still finding it's moving into those fine lines, you might need either different moisturizer or a different concealer. So it might just be the wrong product for your skin. If you're finding that it's looking too drying under your eyes, you might need to use an eye cream or moisturizer underneath your eyes right before you put on your concealer. So just apply it, let it sit down for 60 seconds or 2 minutes, and then go in with the concealer, and that hydration might keep it looking fresher and not so dry. Again, a lot of it has to do with the products that you use, and there are different products depending on your skin type. I have normal skin, and so the Dior, the e.l.f., I like the Hydra-Camo Concealer, and then the Natasha Denona are all high coverage but non-drying on my skin, and they don't move. They do last all day. And so once I get my skin even, then I can start looking at other areas on my face that I may want to enhance. Eyebrows. I feel like the eyebrows are super important. I have bangs, so I do ignore them more than other people, but I do get a lot of questions on that, especially from people that wear eyeglasses. Like, why would they need to do that if the frame of your glasses covers your eyebrows? And that's true, you may not need to, but a lot of times your frames are not always over your eyebrows, and having that brow filled in can really enhance and give your eyes and give you a more youthful appearance. If you don't have any brows at all, you might try a brow tattoo. My sister uses the ones from Amazon, the cheap ones from Amazon, and they will last her a couple of days, look super natural, and she wears glasses. So that can be something that you may opt to test out. Super easy to use. She is just careful when she washes her face at night not to use any cream products around her brows, because that will take them off. So each brow application might last 2 or 3 days if she's careful when she's washing and cleansing and moisturizing her face. If you have brows or have a some definition you just want to fill in, I like using a brow pencil, a fine brow pencil. This one is the Sephora waterproof brow pencil. This lasts a long time. And then also the Maybelline Ultra Slim, another long-lasting brow pencil. Has a spoolie on one end, so you can brush your brows up. And then the pencil. So when I'm doing the brows, I like to kind of outline. I just have like kind of bald spots. I like to do a straight line outlining the shape underneath. Now, I still have enough brows that I need to pluck. I will get too thick underneath it, and when I draw that line, and sometimes I'll draw it with flesh tone pencil. This is a lip primer pencil from NYX. I will draw that line with the flesh tone pencil and then pluck the hairs that are in that flesh tone. So that makes it easier for me to see hairs that are in the wrong place. But just do that faint line, and then you can do your little eye flicks or little brow flicks, lash flicks, you know, from that line. And same with the upper. You can do that, the line to emphasize where you want or where you need to fill in, and then do little flicks. So I'm under a bright light. Sometimes it makes my skin shine more, so it looks thinner than it does if I was just walking about. And so I have to be careful not to put too much or go too dark on my brows when I'm under this bright light. So you do need to be aware too that you want it to be natural, not too dark. Then you can use a spoolie to kind of really work in the product into the skin. And then you can set it, especially if you wear glasses. The e.l.f. Brow Lift is a nice non-glossy setting gel. And then I just use a spoolie that I've bent so it has an easier time to get into this little pot. And then, of course, e.l.f., Kosas, Glossier, they all make little brow gels that you can also use to kind of hold those little hairs in place. So I think brows are very important, framing the face. When you get down to your eyes, so many women have told me that the older they get, the more sensitive their eyes are to mascara and eyeliners and things like that. And unfortunately, I don't have an answer to what products will work the best because, you know, I've heard from a lot of people that they've tried them all and nothing works. I've heard from people that Thrive mascara doesn't bother their eyes, or Tarte Lights Camera Action mascara doesn't irritate their eyes. But I think it just differs, and since my eyes are not sensitive, I don't know what mascara would not irritate your eyes. I do know that since my lashes have gotten thin or thinner, I've always curled my lashes because they grow straight. I like the rougher eyelash curler. They do have two sizes now, the 18, which was the original size, which is a little flatter, a little bit longer. This one is my favorite, but they also have the 20, which is a little bit higher arch. But both of them, I mean, sometimes I'll reach for the 20. I'll just reach for whatever one's in front of me. And I do like the way they curl my lashes. And I kind of get edge to edge just with one squeeze. And then I kind of tap it and work my way towards the tips of the lashes. I also have been really enjoying using the lash primer. It does make my lashes thicker. It does make various mascaras last longer. I find that mascaras that I've discarded or discounted because they would smear or flake under my eyes, they don't when I'm using this lash primer. Flip side, it's a little bit harder to get my mascara off. I usually choose to wear non-waterproof mascaras. Still love the Beyond, City Beauty Beyond mascara. It keeps my lashes flexible because some of these other mascaras get too stiff. And when I'm using the stiffer mascaras and I'm blinking, it irritates the lower rim of my eyes. And I was finding my lower rims were getting quite red and just tender. So mascara matters. It took me a while to realize that my lashes were just so stiff and I was just scratching that part of my eye. If you do have a little bit of redness there, Lumify drops, it's recommended by my optometrist. They really do help reduce or remove the redness on that rim. I wear contact lenses. They're safe to use with contact lenses. It also minimizes just if you have red lines. I have some permanent red lines kind of on the outer edges. So it does reduce that. It brightens the eye without looking too screaming white like with some of the other eye drops. So I do really like the way Lumify works. And again, it was recommended by my optometrist. It is safe for contact lens use. So if you can't do mascara, but maybe you can do some eyeliners, I like gel pencil eyeliners that dry down. My favorites are the Revlon Infallible 36-hour gel liner. Also Charlotte Tilbury, the Nudes gel, or I don't know if this one's a gel one. This one's getting dried out though. So after a while, these gel eyeliners, they dry out, and they dry out before you can use them all. All of them do. I also like Makeup by Mario's Master Pigment Pro. Rare Beauty just came out with one. But basically what I look for is after I apply it, you give it 15, 20 seconds. And if you can't, or a minute even, they set down. And so I don't want it rubbing off. So that's what I look for in the liners. But I want it to be blendable when you first apply it. So I do little dots instead of just like a straight line. I'll just do, you know, kind of little strokes. And then I'll blend it out usually with my pinky finger, both upper and lower, because I like my lower lash line to look thicker also. And a lot of times that's all I will do. Now, as far as lips, I have a naturally downturned mouth. I've done videos on downturned mouth. Lisa Eldridge did a video on a downturned mouth, and that's where I discovered this technique. But I will use a concealer or a nude face pencil, and I will use it all along the outer edge of my lips. So I am blurring or softening where my lip color blends into the rest of my face. Now, a lot of people as they age, your lips are just fading. You're just losing that pigment, and you just want to find a natural looking lip color. They, you know, say pinch your cheeks, look at that, and try and find a lip color. If it's pink, then go pink. If it's plummy berry colors, you know, go more berry or rosy. But that's the color that would look really good on your lips. I'll use anything on my lips. This one's kind of more of a neutral nude. But what I do is after I soften the lip line, then I will redraw a new lip line with a lip pencil. Lisa Eldridge lip pencils, Enhance and Define. This is the best. I have not found one that works as well. Revlon, I think it's Revlon, does have one that seems to last a long time. However, they just don't have that many shades. So I really like the Lisa Eldridge. You can color in your lips with this. You can eat, drink, and you will still have the lip pencil on your lips. But I will draw a new line, and then I will fill in with color. This is her Muse, which is a pretty neutral color for me. And then I will top it with a gloss. This is City Beauty Clear Gloss. Because I find my lips have deflated, and having a gloss, the light reflects off of it, and it's not as noticeable as with a matte color that my lips have become deflated. So by redrawing that lip line, and again, when I go a little bit higher in the center, and then I kind of flick it up, and I don't go into the corners. That's the key. I'm not going into the corners to emphasize my downturned mouth. So it makes me look like I have a little bit fuller, little poutier looking lips, which, you know, can appear more youthful. And so that's what I like to do with the lips. And I do think, again, applying more of a cream, this is the Jones Road lip pencil, a creamy pencil around the outer edge first, kind of fills in some of those lines. You might need to set it, and you want to pull your lips tight while you go over. This is the NYX lip primer. So if you go over, fill in those areas, pat it down. Might need to take just a little bit of the setting powder, pat it down, and it fills in those fine lines with the product, so then your lipstick can't slide into those fine lines. So it is a combination between flesh toned and color pencil to actually hide your makeup from moving into those fine lines. Okay, and then just to finish it off, but this, is not really one of my 5 items, is, just putting a little bit of blush. This is the Say Beauty in Mauve Glow. This is a glow sculpt. I still like just a little bit of shimmer. Not too much. If you have too much shimmer, it does emphasize your pores. So you do need to be careful about that. But that's all I need, just a little bit of lift. I put it up high under my eyes and then on my cheekbone. And that is a light, natural, more youthful look, in my opinion. And that's pretty much what I do on a day-to-day basis. So again, I've got a ton of videos, me showing, putting various makeup reviews, doing a very similar look and style. But if this is something new for you, I hope you've learned something. And as always, I appreciate all my viewers from being here. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time.